All right, guys. So many questions. All right. And I see it over on Instagram. I see it here on YouTube. And a lot of people are just curious. And so what we did was just got a list of questions. And I will do my best to answer those questions here on YouTube. So I have my wife helping me out here. She's going to be asking questions here behind the camera. And I will do my best to answer these questions as authentic as possible. All right, so here we go.
Okay, the first question is, are you from Texas?
I'm not from Texas. A lot of people may think that, and they kind of see, the way I carry myself and all that, and they think I'm a Texan, but I'm not. I was originally born in Panama, not Panama City, Florida, but the actual country, Panama. And my dad was in the military. My entire family's Panamanian. And my dad was able to join the military back during the late 60s. But long story short, he ended up getting moved over to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So when we were stationed in Fort Bragg, my dad spent a little bit longer there. He retired after 21 years in Fort Bragg, and when he retired, we moved to Houston. And so I was in Houston right when I got into junior high. So I'm Panamanian, but I call Texas home. I'll call Texas home.
Okay, what got you into hunting?
It kind of fell in my lap. It's really weird. So I ended up going to junior college in Kansas, Great Bend, Kansas. And I was just around a lot of good people when I was up there. And I couldn't go home for one Thanksgiving. And I stayed back and I spent Thanksgiving with some friends up there. And every year on Thanksgiving, they hunted. And they hunted ducks and geese. And so I didn't have a hunting license. I had no experience. I didn't have a shotgun. And I was like, you know what? We'll go out there. And I'll go out there and just get this experience. And I froze my butt off. But I had a good time. And I really enjoyed what I saw and what I experienced. And it took me years to be able to do what I saw at that time. But it really fell into my lap. I was just around the right people at the right time.
Why do you choose to hunt pests and varmints?
I feel like I'm making a difference. I'm not against any type of hunting, and I'm willing to try other types of hunting and other game. But when I got out of college and was looking for work and I was around all these great people out in the country, I was exposed to these ranches and these farms, and I saw what was going on. I saw the negative impact what pigs and coyotes were doing. And that was the first thing that I wanted to do, was to hunt pigs and coyotes. We had a pet goose, believe it or not. We had two of them. One died pretty early, but we had a pet goose that was about a year and a half old. And he used to stay up in the shop and he was making a mess all the time. So we ended up building him a huge cage. And it had a latch on it and gate. And one morning, it was obvious something got into the cage and killed him. And from that point on, I knew any opportunity I had on a predator, I was going to take him out. And it's been like that ever since. And that was like 15 years ago. But that's pretty much why.
Okay. Why do you prefer ARs over bolt actions?
I'm naturally a bolt action guy. I prefer to hunt with bolt action. And for a really long time, I didn't like the AR platforms. Back when I got into this, we didn't really have the options that you guys have now, as far as calibers and different platforms and lengths and weights and all that. And there's just so many options now with ARs. But back then, it was pretty much a DPMS 223 or 308. That was it. And anything outside of that was kind of special. So, but there is an advantage, especially hunting pigs at nighttime. I mean, you can run an AR a lot quicker than you can run a bolt gun. So it is effective at nighttime. It's very effective on pigs.
What's your favorite caliber?
Uh, Believe it or not, the 223. Believe it or not. And it's just because I know the caliber so well. I've shot it for so long. You guys see me on this 7.62 by 39 right now, and it works extremely well on pigs. But the 223 is just, for me, I like it. I wouldn't choose it over the 7.62 by 39, but if you threw the two in front of me and you said this is all you're going to be able to run, it'll be the 223.
Okay. Why do you hunt at night instead of daytime?
So at nighttime is when these pigs are more active. I've been on some properties, and I'm hunting a property now where the pigs are active during the daytime, which is really rare when you're putting a lot of pressure on these pigs. But majority of the time, they're moving and they're feeding and they're doing all their damage at nighttime. They're nocturnal, and so that's why I hunt at night. When I first got the thermal experience, I was hooked, and I knew that we had an advantage at night. I knew we had an advantage at night, and I've been stuck on it ever since. It's going to be extremely hard for me to just cough up thermals and night vision and go daytime only. It's going to be almost impossible. If you guys ever get the night vision and thermal experience, you know what I'm talking about. Daytime hunting is going to be extremely boring.
Okay. So speaking of thermal or night vision, which do you prefer?
Thermal. I prefer thermal. It's obvious I use both at the same time. I use my nods to navigate and do my stalks, but the thermal is always going to be able to detect for you. It's extremely hard to just go out with night vision and be effective on these pigs or any type of varmints. You got to be able to detect. You got to be able to detect. That's where thermal comes into play.
Okay. And what do you do with the pigs you kill?
Oh my God. That question is, if I had a penny for how many times that question has been asked, we'll have a lot of weapons in this house, but it's obvious we haul them off, and we cannot consume that much pork. I know a lot of people think that there's other alternatives as far as like donating and stuff like that, but there's laws and there's certain things that you can't do with that meat. You just can't hand over meat and those people not know where it came from, how it was processed. I mean, it's questionable. So we have to haul them off. And when I do, I haul them off on the ranch that I'm hunting all the time. They're calving almost all year long. So what I do is I'll take the pig kills and I'll take them to the general area where where the cattle is. And it almost keeps the coyotes occupied. I know it does. And we don't ever have any problems with coyotes and the calves. So that's what I do with them.
Okay. Do you ever get scared hunting alone?
I will be honest with you. When I first started doing this, I had a buddy of mine that was in the thermal hunting, and me and him did it all the time, and he ended up moving. And I was forced to hunt by myself. And I didn't grow up doing this, guys. This is something that hit me late in life. And I see a lot of people taking their kids out hunting in the middle of the dark and getting them up in their blinds and leaving them alone. You get accustomed to it. And that's what happened to me. I was just so anxious to go out, and I couldn't find anybody to go out with me. And I started going by myself. Am I scared of the dark? No. I'm scared of the unknown. And I will be honest with you guys, my two biggest fears out there at nighttime is wild dogs and snakes. And everybody knows, if you know me personally, you know I have a phobia with snakes, but it's not the actual snake. It's me being hit by a snake and not getting to help quick enough. The dogs, guys, I don't know if you ever had an experience with wild dogs, but they're extremely dangerous. They're way more dangerous than the pigs. They're way more dangerous than the coyotes. I have a quick story real quick. Me and a buddy of mine were spearfishing on a creek not too far from here. And we were having a good time just talking. And I looked up on the bank, and this bank was like 20 to 30 foot high. And there was a pack of pit bulls just staring down at us. 4 to 5 pit bulls, and I'm talking about big ones. And they couldn't get down, but they could have easily found a way down to us, and we would have had a big problem on our hands. So the owner ended up walking up. The owner was out there walking his dogs, and they went right back to him when he called them. But dogs and a snake bite are my biggest fears at nighttime out there. It doesn't seem like it's that big of a problem, but guys, there's some properties, man, that there's certain times, sometimes I'm walking a half a mile, quarter mile away from the rig, and then I still got to drive back for help, so it can get questionable when you're by yourself. Excuse me. About 75-80% of the time, guys, I'm by myself. I ask people all the time to come with me, and I know you guys are fixing to blow up the comments saying that you'll go with me, but the majority of the time I'm by myself. And that's how I started all this. I started it pretty much by myself, just hunting alone. So I'm comfortable with it. I'm just worried about a snake bite and wild dogs.
What parts of Texas do you hunt?
North Texas. A lot of people really want to know, and it's really sad the way some people react because I don't give them the exact address and GPS coordinates. That's a little rule that we have, when I'm hunting these properties, I don't give up the exact location of the farms, but it is North Texas, Denton County. Sometimes I'm in Wise County. Sometimes I'm in Love County, Oklahoma. Sometimes I'm in Red River County out there, just northeast and northwest of Paris. I'm all over the place, but majority of the time it's directly north of DFW.
Okay. My favorite question: how does your wife feel about you hunting all the time?
Remember, guys, these are legit questions. These are questions that people ask all the time. I'm extremely blessed to have an awesome wife, man. And I'm not saying this because she's behind the camera. I've said this numerous times to folks. If you don't have somebody in your life that supports what you do, you're not going to be able to do it. And my wife, she's not a big time hunter. She just hunted for the first time this past year. And she now understands my addiction. She understands my passion. It's awesome. It's awesome to have her not yell at me every time I'm gone. It's awesome not to have her bash me and not let me be able to do what I want sometimes. I have my family time and I have my hunting time, and that's one great advantage of hunting at nighttime. I'm out while everybody else is asleep, so it's not like I'm wasting the entire day out there in the woods. They're out cold, and when I get back, they're up in the morning and everything's all good. So I'm extremely blessed to have a supportive wife. Extremely blessed.
Thank you. Do you think hog hunters are making a difference?
No. I'll be honest with you, no. I don't think we are. I got footage to prove it. We can kill 50, 60 hogs a night, and we've done it before on weekends, and we'll go back and we'll see even bigger numbers. And sometimes we won't see them, and it has nothing to do with exterminating them. These animals are always on the move. They're not territorial. They don't stay in one area. They're always on the move, especially if there's any type of river or creeks. So it comes and flows, 1 month it might be really crazy, and then we'll go 2-3 months without seeing pigs on certain properties. And you guys have seen that on my Instagram. I'll talk about it all the time. But I've seen some ridiculous number of hogs with thermal footage, and it just doesn't stop. A sow can have, I forgot what the number was. It's like 2 or 3 litters a year. Sometimes all the way up to 15 piglets. And then her piglets, her offspring's doing the same exact thing within 3 months. There's not that many hunters in Texas hunting at nighttime, putting a dent in that type of population. I saw the estimates. It was somewhere like 3 million. I think they're wrong. I think that the pig population in Texas is somewhere around 4 to 5 million. And we don't have enough shooters here. And I know a lot of people get frustrated because they want to come help and they want to hunt. But unfortunately, a huge portion of this state is privately owned, and not everybody is letting people onto their properties to hunt. I'm even running into that problem. You just got to rub your shoulders with the right people, I guess. But no, we are not making a difference. We're not making a difference. We're actually making them smarter, to be honest with you. That's what I think.
Okay. Hunting is kind of controversial. Do you ever get hate mail?
You know, I don't. Every once in a while, I'll get a DM. Somebody will say something hateful in a comment, but I really don't. I really don't see it. I really don't see it. They might report my content and stuff like that, but I really don't get hate mail. And it's, I got to talk about this. I'll bring it up. I don't care. I believe it or not, guys, I get more hate from people that do the same exact thing that I'm doing. The guys that are out there hog hunting, shooting, whatever, those are some of the biggest haters. Those are some of the biggest haters, and I don't get it. Maybe they don't like my attitude, the way I carry myself, maybe the way I show something. I don't know. But those are some of the biggest haters. The PETA, the libs, whatever you want to call them, they don't personally attack me. It's the guys that claim they do, the ones that claim they're hunters. Those are the guys that I have the biggest issues with. But that's another topic.
What are your thoughts on hunting censorship in social media?
Oh, it bothers me. It bothers me, guys. When I first got into this, I was on a hunting forum. And that hunting forum, there was no censorship. And we did our best to keep, graphic stuff off the net, but we shared our hunts and we had no issues. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever you use out there, it's obvious that hunting is disliked. Like, they don't like us. And they're making it harder and harder for us to share our experience out here in the field. Regardless if you're an elk hunter, deer hunter, a duck hunter, hog hunter, varmint hunter, it doesn't matter what type of hunting you're doing, they're going to hate it. And, that just shows their power, to be honest with you. They got social media on lockdown, and there's really nowhere else for us to go. People say, hey, we need to start up this. And, it sucks. Social media and hunting sucks, but it's been a great experience so far for me because I've been able to link up with you guys and share everything that I'm doing. It's been an amazing run, but I don't know how long it's going to last.
How did you get your social media to grow?
It fell into my lap. It fell into my lap. I didn't like what was going on over on the hunting forums. Things started getting a little political, and I disappeared. And a good friend of mine, Cable Smith from the Lone Star Outdoor Show, he was sharing some of my photos on his page, and everybody was like, hey, man, this dude's posting up your pictures over there. And I'm like, yeah, I send him my pictures all the time. And he told me, he was like, man, you need to start an Instagram. And I did. And I could not believe what happened. Do I have 50,000 followers, 100,000 followers, a million? No, I don't. But for what I do, the following has been really good, and it literally fell into my lap. And I have to thank the people that are helping me out. Ultimate Night Vision, Vortex, PWS. I mean, there's so many CMC triggers. Those guys have been very supportive and sharing my content, and it just kind of helped the growth of my social media pages. It's been pretty cool. But that's how it happened. It literally fell in my lap. There was nothing special that I did. I didn't wake up one day and say, hey, I want to put all this hog hunting content out there and I want people to follow me. It wasn't nothing like that.
What's it like being a black hunter?
That is a question that gets asked a lot, and it doesn't get talked about a lot. It's obvious, hunting is a white dominant sport. There is black hunters out there. There's Hispanic hunters out there. There's Asian hunters out there. But I think I would be honest with you. I think it's kind of an advantage, to be honest with you. It kind of, I don't know how to explain it, but it hasn't been bad. I've had a lot of minorities, we'll say minorities, send me DMs and messages asking me, has it ever been a problem? And to be honest with you, it zero. It has never been a problem. And I've met some of the greatest people ever. And I mean, these are guys that would take the shirt off their back and give it to me. If my rifle broke, they would lend me a rifle to go hunting with. It has been a wonderful experience. And I don't want people to think that just because you're Asian, Muslim, black, whatever, don't feel like that it's not your place. Don't ever feel like that, because before I even got into that was a question for me as well. You know, how will this work out for me being black, you know? And it's been nothing but a blessing. So I'm not the only one out there. There's plenty of other minorities in the hunting game, but they're just not out there, you know? But it has been a blessing, to be honest with you. There's nothing negative, and I've had a lot of support. I have a lot of support.
What advice would you give someone that wants to get into hog hunting or just hunting in general?
Presentation. I don't claim myself to be a photographer, but I do take my photos kind of serious. I don't get paid for it, and it's nothing that I was told to do. It was something that I was very passionate about. I see a ton of people out there taking pictures and doing videos with their cell phone, and it's horrible. I think that's a horrible thing if you're trying to get your social media to grow. But I see these people taking beautiful animals and they got a cell phone picture. And I'm like, that's really crappy. That's a great memory. That was a great hunt, and you got a crappy photo. So I started attacking my photos and taking time and doing it right and having nice clarity and nice sharp images. And guess what? They started getting reposted. That people started to notice, and it helped. It helped, you know. But presentation. Be careful what you're posting up. You know, I do everything I can to show respect. You know, I know you guys are going to kind of question about the whole me chasing down the hog and everything. You know, don't do that all the time. You know, that was just one of those deals. But just be careful with the content that you post up, and presentation. Presentation. It's just like being in school or being in college, you know, and you go up in front of that class. It's all about that presentation. And if your presentation isn't good, you're going to fail. You're going to fail. So it's all about presentation, I think, personally. It's been one hell of a run. It's been one hell of a run. I'm enjoying it. If you guys have any questions, that's it for all the questions so far. And these are legit questions. These are questions that people have asked. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments, and I will collect them. And I will try to do this again if you like what you see. But I know a lot of people were curious. I know a lot of people wanted some questions answered. And so here it is. And real quick, about the hog, the canned ham and the boar. I don't want you guys to think that I went out there with this game plan to run a pig down. It did not go down like that. When I first got out there, we spotted this boar, and he was already on the move, and we was just waiting for him to stop. We ended up going through the gate, and when we opened the gate, he picked up the pace, and I knew we wasn't going to catch him. He was the only boar out in this pasture. It was a massive pasture. And so I just decided to catch up with him on the Can-Am. And when we caught up, there was no way we was going to whip those 16-inch rifles around in that cab. There was no way. And so the only thing I thought about was just to run them down. And excuse me, that was a bad decision. That was a bad decision. I would never do it again. I paid the price, and I was still able to get them, but it's nothing to do all the time. It's not a good thing. It's dangerous. It's not good for the hunt. It's nothing to brag about. But I do my best to share all the content that I get. And that's what I was doing, was just sharing that content. something that I did talk about on one of my live feeds last week, and I want to talk about it right real quick here before I get off this video, is it's really hard for me to keep things clean. There's nothing clean about hunting. Yes, it's violent. Yes, there's blood. Yes, there's carnage. Yes, there's all kinds of bad stuff. And it's really hard for us to cover up some of that sensitive content for the sensitive people. And there's nothing that I can do about that. And I don't plan on changing my ways. So, it's one of those deals that if you don't like what you see, you can easily move on. You can unfollow, you can unsubscribe, whatever you want to do. But hunting is a real deal. It's real. There's nothing that we can do to sugarcoat what we're doing. They do a really good job on TV, but this is real. I mean, especially when it comes to hog hunting and varmint hunting, what you see is real. But anyways, guys, if you like what you see, please get the subs going, get the notifications going, and I'll do everything I can to keep this content rolling. I really appreciate the support, guys. Y'all take it easy.